Story 1. I am not allowed to answer questions on Reddit truthfully without being banned from subreddits. I am ready to quit Reddit. I am tired of posts that ask for answers. If the moderators do not like your answer, they not only delete it but also ban you for life. It is clear that they are not interested in hearing any opinions that do not align with their perspective. Story 2. Work. Or rather, the general public that I have to deal with because of work. I am a tattoo artist, and people can be quite difficult. Story 3. I haven't had a girlfriend in over 2 years. I have my own place and a well-paying job, yet I can't seem to find love. I guess I've been unlucky, but I just want to be loved. Story 4. The fact that roughly 50% of Americans do not realize that they elected an incompetent individual who wants to establish an autocracy is concerning. Some would accept a dictatorship as long as it is led by someone who permits them to harbor hatred towards those who are different. Story 5. College. I don't want to be here in a different city with people I dislike just to complete it. But I have to. Otherwise, I cannot pursue the career I want. Story 6. I'm not hungry, but I'm wondering if I should have a bowl of Cocoa Pops just for the dopamine hit. I want to blame premenstrual syndrome so I feel less guilty, but my period is not coming anytime soon. Also, I miss my partner, and I want to sleep early. Story 7. I am having a difficult time at my job. I excelled in my previous department, where I was considered the most valuable team member. However, I grew weary of much of the tedious work. I received a promotion and moved to a new department, which initially seemed like a better opportunity for me, as I was able to utilize the skills that earned me the promotion. Then, a year later, we got a new manager who added new tasks to my role, which I am struggling with. As a result, my manager often expresses anger towards me. I face criticism and feel belittled almost every day. I work overtime without pay, trying to perform my tasks correctly, only to have my efforts criticized the following day. I have not had a good day at work in at least 6 months, and my new boss has actively damaged my relationships with my former department. She has even told me that other supervisors would not tolerate my performance, but she claims to be understanding. She demanded that critical tasks I was handling for my previous department be cut immediately, despite never offering me similar responsibilities on her team. This reduction in duties has threatened my job security. I worked so hard to reach this point in my career, and now it feels as though everything is falling apart. I am unsure of what to do anymore. Story 8. Part of me wants to date, but I work a very stressful and chaotic job with 16-hour shifts that leave no time to look at memes. I am just so tired all the time, with no energy to do anything beyond dragging myself to the couch and mindlessly scrolling. At the same time, I want to find my person, the one I can cook for, play video games with, and go on quirky road trips with. Maybe they could rub my back after a long day or help distract me from the chaos. However, every time I try to start something, I get pulled into another set of long shifts for a week, and I am lucky to make it back to bed. Story 9. Everything is corrupt. It's inescapable. I'm trapped, and it's affecting my ability to focus on what I care about. If I can't focus on that, all I ask is to take me to the next universe. Please. Story 10. America is threatening to arbitrarily collapse our economy while right-wing commentators joke about invasion and annexation. Story 11. I feel stuck in a difficult situation, and every time I try to address these issues in my mind, I become frustrated. I attend therapy, but it seems unhelpful. It often feels like a continuous cycle of struggle. Story 12. My auto insurance just doubled, and the reason is the high cost of providing insurance to others. I have not had an accident or claim in 30 years. Story 13. I am concerned about avoiding overdraft charges on our account while waiting for my husband's next paycheck. We are struggling to make ends meet, and there isn't a month where I can relax knowing that all our expenses will be covered. It's difficult not having any savings and feeling the burden of credit card debt because we had no choice but to accumulate large balances during his unemployment a few years ago. It seems like we will never reach financial stability. Story 14. I received a call today after I left, informing me that I am not to report tomorrow. Additionally, I have a meeting with Human Resources on Friday. I just returned from a 2-week suspension at the end of January. Story 15. My stomach, chest, and back are sore. I did a full workout without warming up after spending over a month not exercising. I cannot describe how nauseous and sore I have been the past 2 days. Story 16. Not having my boyfriend nearby is hard. I miss him a lot, and looking at inappropriate content right now isn't helping. Story 17. I can't find a way to explain everything I feel for my fiancé in my wedding vows, and I have until April. I'm a guy who doesn't know how to express feelings well, and that's why I don't know if I should risk saying whatever comes to mind at the moment. But my fiancé is super smart and eloquent. I feel overwhelmed. Story 18. I'm turning 30 and I have come to the conclusion that I feel like a failure. I'm in a long-term relationship. I'm doing well in my master's program, and I have a job that appreciates my work. But I feel like I wasted my time. I will never live out my dreams because I was too scared to chase them, and that is soul-crushing. I worry I may only ever have an office job and children, and it's overwhelming. I know a few people who have achieved significant success, and each of them accomplished what I once dreamed of because they committed to their goals 10 years ago and persevered. I realize that I'm in a very good position in life, but I'm seriously contemplating my future. The mind can be a difficult place to navigate. Story 19. I'm trying to save money, but I have a few bills that are due soon and still need basic things like new shoes and car service. It stresses me out trying to plan ahead. Somehow I just get by. It would be nice to live stress-free for a little while. Story 20. I have a doctor's appointment in about 2 hours, where the doctor will confirm whether or not I'm having my second miscarriage. Story 21. My recently operated nasal passages are the most bothersome bodily feeling I have ever experienced, and I can't fall asleep. I hope this was worth it, and I can breathe properly again afterwards. My doctor was quite difficult, but the hospital staff was great. Thank you for asking. Story 22. I have bipolar disorder, and I am experiencing a manic episode. This episode was triggered by my feelings for someone I met online, whom I believe to be a sociopath. After just 4 days, he stopped communicating with me, and now I am feeling overwhelmed. Story 23. I hurt 2 friends in January and February by saying something I thought was funny, but it turned out to be harmful. I didn't reflect on what I said before speaking. Sometimes I think I am unaware of when something I might say could be hurtful. I always feel awful afterward. I'm not neurodivergent as far as I know, but it wouldn't surprise me if I were, as I do struggle with social cues and tact. Story 24. I barely survived teaching my first child how to drive. After a 2-year break, I now have to teach my second. I really want to pay for driving school to help her and reduce my anxiety. However, if I do that, I know I will hear complaints about how I prefer her brother and how she gets more perks than him, with her claiming that she is my favorite. Teens often believe everything is about them, when sometimes it is not. Little do they know I actually prefer my dog. Story 25. I just walked outside to my car after work, and my tire is flat. I did a good deed this morning. Story 26. I am struggling with debilitating anxiety and depression to the point that I cannot hold a job. My family wants nothing to do with me, and I am about to be homeless. Story 27. The weather is cold, with snow piling up and more storms on the way. It has been a gloomy day after day. Story 28. The school district has not announced whether my children will attend in person or virtually tomorrow. The roads are clear in my part of the district, but areas to the south receive double the amount of snow we experienced, and it will depend on their facilities and road conditions. Story 29. I became too complacent in a job that I knew I didn't want to stay in. Searching for a job is frustrating. Story 30. There are many concerns, primarily regarding Trump, his supporters, and the government's refusal to disclose the truth about unidentified aerial phenomena. Story 31. Reading through the answers here, it is clear that many people are unhappy for various reasons. I considered sharing my negative thoughts, but we must not give in to despair. None of us are alone, even if we are physically isolated. Things are difficult. I understand difficulty. I am 71 years old and have experienced poverty throughout my life. I have also felt loneliness and faced unemployment. I have truly known hunger as a child and as an adult. Each day brings new opportunities, and each day we must seek out possibility and hope. Focus your mind on being happy. This does not guarantee that I will wake up in a good mood tomorrow, but I will be okay, and so can you. Story 32. My job is miserable, but the company is good and pays well. I can't justify leaving without finding a comparable replacement, and I can't find any jobs that pay nearly this much. So I'm just stuck in limbo. Story 33. The pinched nerve in my back is causing significant issues with my hips and legs. My left side has been hurting a lot lately, which is very troubling. Unfortunately, Kaiser is only providing limited assistance. Story 34. Why does everyone expect respect without giving it? Why has this generation of people thought it is okay to let their children do whatever they want without consequences? Story 35. I'm so tired of struggling with money. It seems like everyone in my social circle is doing well, while I have a job with decent pay but inconsistent hours, which causes me to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't care about being rich. I just want money to be less of a concern than it is for me right now. Just yesterday, I had car issues and had to reach out to my parents, nearly in tears, because my bank account was dipping into the negatives. I'm grateful they were able to help me, but I also feel guilty and embarrassed about needing their support. Story 36. I have become a perfectionist in the last few months, and it is affecting me negatively. The lack of productivity is one issue, but I have also discovered that anxiety drives perfectionism. This is a significant challenge. While it may be perceived as a superficial answer to the question, "What is your greatest weakness?" it is a genuine weakness. Now that I understand its impact, I would hesitate to describe it in such a frank manner during a job interview. Story 37. The layoffs by the South African billionaire immigrant and felon are affecting dedicated government workers. Additionally, they are interfering with my veteran benefits. Story 38. I want to start my own company and have been delaying it for too long. I keep dreaming and need to focus on starting it so I can retire at 30. Story 39. I ordered several computer parts on Amazon, and some arrived broken. Customer support for one of them is unresponsive. For the other part, it will likely take a long time to get fixed. Story 40. My brother-in-law is fighting his insurance company to get compensation. I could have finished a job today, but the last pieces arrived too late. Tomorrow, I have to drive an hour and a half each way for about 10 minutes of work. Other than that, I'm mostly doing well. Story 41. My friend is having a party this weekend, and I'm taking the guy I'm seeing with me. I'm feeling really anxious and nervous. Story 42. The guy I have been talking to won't message me back. I am worried about him, but I might have been ghosted. Story 43. I lost a younger brother on Sunday. I am trying to get my car back on the road after a catastrophic brake failure. Work has been slow, so now I am stressed about the cost of fixing the Buick and the 2 days I took off after my brother's passing. Story 44. I am trying to develop an exercise plan to address one joint issue without exacerbating another. I am also adjusting my diet, so I need to determine what to eat. Story 45. Our house caught fire, and the fundraising effort isn't going well. I posted about it on most social media platforms, and I know my friends saw it. It's not a good feeling when you realize they don't care about you as much as you care about them. You would expect your friends to come through with support after your house catches fire or, at the very least, acknowledge it with words of encouragement, but that hasn't happened. Instead, posting their gym pictures and sharing memes seems to be their top priority. It's truly heartbreaking. Story 46. A realization struck me today. For the past 5 years, when something doesn't go the way my wife wants or expects, and if I am involved, the resolution almost always requires me to spend extra money on her behalf. Story 47. My mental health space for the job that I am leaving. I cannot wait until the 21st, as it is my last day. I am on good terms with my boss and coworkers, but I need change and would rather give 2 weeks' notice than quit indefinitely. Story 48. He applied for a marriage license with his sister-in-law while I was dating him. I knew she was living with him, but I didn't know they were in a relationship. I discovered this through the county website. To obtain a license, both individuals must appear, present identification, complete paperwork, and sign it. They also paid the fee. The license expired 3 months later. I am very angry right now. I might call her and ask her to inform her sister, his ex-wife, and the rest of his family as well. Story 49. I graduated from college 3 years ago, but am still struggling to find a professional job. I have been stuck in retail and food service for a long time, and I have many doubts about my ability to escape this situation. Story 50. Money worries and keeping them away from my children. I am allowed to be stressed about the bills, but I try to spare them from all of that. Story 51. The descent of America into a failed state. I don't think America realizes just how bad it is going to get. Story 52. I either die procrastinating or live long enough to see myself become the person I want to be, the image my younger self would look up to. Story 53. My mom owns a business and offered me a job, which I accepted because I was struggling to balance my previous job with college courses. I quit my job, thinking it would be a good opportunity to work with her, but now I'm feeling that family and business don't mix. It's stressful, and there's constant tension that I wasn't prepared for. I thought it would bring us closer, but it's making things feel more complicated and draining than I ever expected. Story 54. My inability to get a date or attract women is really starting to bother me. I wanted to accept that I would just remain single, but I don't think I can do it. Story 55. I tried being more open with my emotions at the request of someone. It turns out that it was one of her dislikes, and what she really wanted was to use my emotional openness as ammunition in arguments. Story 56. I miss my former partner. I ended the relationship for valid reasons, and I understand it wasn't beneficial for either of us. I still have feelings for her, though. Story 57. I am trying to create a happy family life with my daughter's mother, but she prefers to socialize and communicate with other men. Story 58. I don't know where my life is going. I earn decent money for my country and have a reasonable lifestyle. However, I am not happy. I am not an easy person to get along with, especially if we are not close. I am intelligent and good at my work. The quality of my work is good, but the environment is unbearable. It is toxic in ways that cannot be described. The industry I am in does not have similar roles, nor would it offer me one since I obtained my current position due to the quality of my work rather than the experience that others in the industry typically have. I am unsure if I want to continue this job or seek a new one, possibly move to a different country, but then what would I do? It feels like a boat facing high turbulence, and it has affected my mental state. Story 59. I am experiencing random anxious episodes both in and out of school, as well as at night. I am trying to figure this out, but my mother also keeps yelling at my dad for my snoring, although he has usually been awake. Story 60. The fact that I have been waxing my cheeks, chin, and neck for over 2 years and it doesn't feel like it will stop. I still think that I might have polycystic ovary syndrome because of it. How long is a beauty therapist supposed to wax a face for someone who has never had polycystic ovary syndrome? Story 61. I am in college for a course that I thought I would enjoy, but now I am uncertain about how I feel, especially since it pays poorly. I am struggling to secure a part-time job, as I have been rejected from all of them, including positions like cleaning. I feel jealous of everyone in my life because they seem to be doing well, and I feel guilty about that. I feel low. Story 62. Everything. Politics, wars, my job, my family's well-being, my age and health, my wife's health, money, and the economy, as well as the influence of Elon Musk in our government. Story 63. I need to seriously get my life together and find a career path as soon as possible. However, I would love to do nothing, go to my job, play video games, and have no responsibilities for a little while longer. Story 64. Mom's boyfriend is going to propose, and I'm afraid my dad will be upset even though I know he wants what's best for us. Story 65. Irregular sleep patterns, disrupted dopamine receptors, and frustration from not accomplishing any tasks lead to irritation over wasted time. I struggle with uncertainty about what I truly desire and feel undignified for no reason, while I continue to listen to ABBA instead of completing the things I need to do. Story 66. I am always on the verge of making a mental breakthrough, but then I make a mistake and slip back into my old habits. Story 67. The fact that I make well above the minimum wage where I live, but it doesn't feel like enough. Saving money is difficult. I am very grateful I have enough money for my bills and to provide for my child. However, when I want to save money, something happens and it's always one thing after another. Story 68. The fact that no matter how hard I try to maintain healthy habits, I tend to sabotage myself. I cannot seem to discover the real reason behind it either. Story 69. I have a cold and feel terrible. I am supposed to drive on a cross-country trip tomorrow with my child, to whom I made a promise. Story 70. I fear that things could get worse, and I'm uncertain if I'll cope. I also have a headache, a mouth ulcer, and I want to go home because I'm at the end of a 10-day work week. Story 71. Wondering if I'm boring or uninteresting for not being sure what my hobbies are, or if I'm just overanalyzing things. Story 72. I feel disliked by everyone I know. I believe I am not a good person and struggle to learn from my mistakes. Story 73. I switched to a card wallet instead of a foldable wallet, and it is hard for me to fit as many $100 bills in it. Story 74. I'm hungry. There is nothing to eat at home. I'm too broke to use a ride-sharing service and too lazy to go outside in the cold weather. Is that enough, or should I continue? Story 75. When Helldivers 2 came out, a couple of my friends and I played it. They didn't like it, but I really did. I kept playing while they wouldn't. Cut to over a year later, one of my other friends decided to get into it, and now it's their hyperfixation. Every time they play, they invite two of our other friends, one of whom is someone who didn't like it, to play with their girlfriend. They don't invite me. Even when one of them is busy or doing something else, I don't get asked. I've been playing it longer than any of them, and now I'm just left out. I sometimes think I'll just hop on anyway and play with random players, but then I think about how much more fun it would be to play with my friends. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.